the show where we talk about the things that matter, the real issues of life. Yeah. Talking about who we are, why we are here, what are we supposed to be doing, the very essence of our being. But this is not just the Essence Show, this is a special one. Because this is called the Essence Show Mommy London Special. Yeah. So what makes it the Essence Show Mommy London Special? Because I've got my amazing key cast in the house. Today I have got on this side my beautiful, flawless, beautiful Kemi Olude, aka Sonia in Mommy London. Yeah, you got my son here on this side.
Always represented.
Dr. Emmanuel Adeyemi Temire. And this is Sonia in the house. If you haven't been following our series, Mommy London series, please go and subscribe to the Essence TV. Catch all the episodes that have been going. We just finished the second season. So we're having this talk show about issues in marriages. So today, last week we had a very exciting time. We talked about in-laws. We were particular on mothers, but in-laws can be father-in-law, can be sister-in-law. The conversation continues. So you go to that, the comment board side and begin to put your comment. Let's keep talking. I know that God is interested in our lives and our marriages. Yep. Today, we're talking about a topic that it used to be a no-go area before, But guess what? We need to talk about it. We told you that this show is nothing is untouchable. We're going to talk about everything and anything. Today, we're talking about sex in marriage. Yeah. Let's talk about sex, baby. We're talking about sex in marriage. Having sex or not even having it can actually be a problem.
Yeah.
So, in this series, we've had the first season, we had a situation where it was Sonia that was trying to ask the husband that let's do this thing now. And the husband is going, I'm tired.
I was tired.
He was tired. And the following day, the wife said, he said, you do this one for me too. And the wife said, you to go and do it, I'm tired. So when you are tired, me too, I am tired. Having it and not having it. And this series as well, the second season, we got a situation where it was Adeyemi that wanted to go on the flight to Jerusalem with Sonia, and Sonia said no, it's not happening.
You mean have sex, yeah.
So anyway, and she said no, you go out to your mother, I don't have money for you to drain and all of that. So Dre,
yes,
sex in marriage, what can be the problem? Especially, let's use the scenario of this second season, where Adeyemi tried to have sex with his wife and she says no. What should have been the right attitude? Because that day that guy was like, he was already looking forward to it. You looking all doped up and beautiful, and he was disappointed. The congeal kind of thing. So what do you think should have been the right attitude?
Right.
Because why would a woman say no to her husband? Why would a man say no to his wife? The Bible says you do not have right over your body but your wife. Neither do the wife have right over her body but the husband. Yes. So problem is about sex in marriage. How do we navigate it?
I mean, Mommy, I must say, sex is a massive beast of a topic to talk about. But hopefully, we will be able to cover. But just to put it in context, based on what you've asked with the scene or the episode that we watched, I think sometimes men are very. I'll advocate for men and of course for women as well on the other side. Hey. So men are we're sexual beings, and it's just how God
we are all sexual beings.
Yes. I'll explain what I mean by men as sexual beings. Now, we are all as God has designed us, but in terms of our appetite, it varies. Now, I've heard people say, now this is not a what's the word? It's not a generic context. I'm just saying generally, men are more sexual beings than ladies. Yeah. Now, we've seen women whose libido is way higher than men as well. So I'm not trying to say that we can put this in a straight jacket. But in that episode, I realized that that day the man wanted something. as is his usual custom or is our usual custom as men. But sex for a woman is way beyond just that night. For you to actually get a woman to a point where she wants something, it's like you start from the day before, or probably you start from the week before. And we men sometimes we don't take heed in trying to understand mood swings of our wives. There had been things going on in the family. Sonia had been bottling things up. She hasn't been communicating. Adeyemi, on the other hand, has not been very observant enough to understand that things have been happening.
Maybe the guy was busy with work.
He was, but we also need to know that, because with men, a man does not need too much, what they call it, paparazzi to get there. He sees, he conquers, he goes in there and that's it. And everything, all the chemistry begins to grow in the man's body. But a woman needs time to actually arrive there. So Adeyemi wanted it. Sonia did not want it, because there have been things that have been underlining in the mind of the woman. And women sometimes, not all women are expressive in telling their husbands what the situation is. So I think one lesson we need to learn is a man must be observant and understand his wife's moods. Have conversations. Is everything okay? She's back from work. How is work today? Is there anything that, I noticed this, I noticed that. Start from somewhere. Just don't get there and all of a sudden you just want to say, let's go and score goal like that. It doesn't work that way. You need to woo her in. Sometimes maybe what Adeyemi should have done is, maybe go to the kitchen and probably fix some drink and bring it upstairs and say, I see you're tired. Do you want to get some drink? Do you want to, let's watch a movie together? Set the scene. But he just read your book, put the book down, and immediately you wanted to start action. Meanwhile, here is Sonia, who has been thinking of my husband's mother is a witch, and having issues in her head that she's having questions without answers. And then here you are wanting to just score a goal. So I think we need to understand our wives' moods before we get into things like that.
Kemi, you want to say something?
Yeah, so he's very correct in everything he said, especially. But what I would actually say is that I think married couples should really cultivate a life of a communication and be a life of every day is a sexy day. It's not something that you have to prep, for weeks in advance and things like that. Every day, sexy text should be sexy.
So are you telling us that Sonia should have gotten ready and allow him to?
No, because of she had underlying issues. She had issues that she had not voiced. She had concerns. And when you have concerns like that as a woman, it's kind of hard. Especially if women are very emotional. So it's kind of hard to now flip to the sexual thing when you have issues in mind. Unless you're the kind of woman that you have an extremely high libido and you don't have that emotional connection attached to sex. But if you have the kind of woman that you're emotional and you have that emotional connection with sex, then you are not going to want to have sex when there are issues that are underlying. It's just not going to happen.
No.
It will literally be like having sex with a dead body.
With a dead body.
Meanwhile, men are very compartmentalized. I can have issue at work, come back home, I'm angry with my boss at work, or probably there's an issue at work. I can pack the issue at work and still want to have sex. Because for us men, we feel like sex also makes us to calm down. You're having that uproar in your head, and
let me just stay with
let's
my
just
woman.
because
Stay with my woman, and this whole thing will calm down.
Because men feel like, and to be fair, that's how God has designed it as well. The man is a seed giver, the woman is a seed receiver. When I say seed, I'm talking about the sperm. When sperm goes out of a man, there's I don't know how to explain it biologically. It makes us a bit calmer. And it's just how God has designed the biology of a man. When a man releases sperm, we calm. And that's why you hear some men say when they're under tension and they have sex, it helps them. But for a woman, it's not like that.
It is.
I don't know if that's the case.
It is for a woman.
I'm not a woman, so please help us.
For a woman, it's exactly the same thing.
Right.
Because a woman could be under tension,
yeah.
and as soon as she does have sex and the husband is able to help
yeah.
her to come,
okay.
then once she's
yeah.
climaxed, again, that calmness sets in.
Yeah.
And now
yeah.
she's able to handle issues
right.
with more peace and with more
I think the point for me is because the man can be having issues, pack it and do that, but the woman can. Some women.
No, you can have
Yeah.
because what you just said there, you said issues at work. Okay,
Yeah.
as for a woman, again, a woman could have issues at work and now want to have sex.
Can she?
Yes,
Okay.
if she's having issues at work, she may want to have sex just to release that tension.
What about issues at home?
But
though?
if the issues are at home with
Yeah.
that man,
Yeah.
with her husband, it's going to be hard
But
unless
mommy,
you address the issue.
Guess what? A man can have issues with his wife
And
in
still
the
have
house
sex
and
with her.
still want to. Is what I'm saying.
I wonder about
So
those
that's
couples.
what I'm
but
saying.
there's some women that even though they're having issues, they're not talking, they still have sex.
I think that
Yeah.
talks
So-
about. I think for that because Dre actually said about us being men being sexual being, and the fact that they actually react based on what they see,
Yeah.
rather than they don't have a lot of emotional attachment, which is very true, and that's why a man will have problem with his wife at home and still be okay to have sex with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for women, I think majority of women will have problem with their husband and not allow him. It's about the emotion because you need women. We are emotionally attached to this thing. For me,
Yeah.
and I know that most women are like that. You can't let a man that you are looking at and you're not happy with to touch you. What for? You know, but because the men are usually like physical, they just want to go in and come out, and that's it. You know, they grab the food and they just the next minute they are snoring.
Yeah.
Whereas the man is still lying on the woman is still lying on the bed and she's thinking, she's reflecting on what he said a few hours ago. You know, so definitely, men definitely they act based on what they see. However, I mean the thing is, what should a woman do in a case like? I mean, she's not happy because you said you mentioned that the husband came in, he wasn't observant enough.
Yeah.
So I think that the advice to give to men today is that they should be more observant.
Yeah.
They should take their time to look at their wives and see whatever that is going on around. But I'm thinking, what about the time that he doesn't know? Because Sonia didn't tell him the problem, what the problem was. She was just lying on the bed. I was work today, everything is fine, and she's facing the other side. You're right to say that he wasn't observant enough. So men, try to be observant.
Well,
check your wife's mood. Make sure that if you should see anything that's unusual about her, question it and ask. Say, are you sure you're okay? Is everything okay? Is this something I did? She might be able to open up and say something to you about him. But the question is, should a woman, because that's my question, and I think it will be to you more than to Dre, is that should a woman deny her husband because she is emotionally unhappy with him?
Answer.
You know, because the Bible says that your body does not belong to you, it belongs to him, and his body does not belong to him, it belongs to you. Should a woman, because you're not happy with your husband, deny him?
Well, now I will say again, this is from a Christian perspective. I wouldn't. A woman shouldn't deny a man.
That's the
Because
point.
the reason is that the man has needs, and if you start denying him, he'll get it elsewhere.
Even if he's not getting it elsewhere, because some men, by the grace of God, they are above that.
Yes.
He's gonna wait, but you are punishing him unnecessarily.
Exactly.
This guy does not know what he's done wrong.
Yeah.
So that takes us to okay. I'm gonna like kind of give you the heads up. Next week we're gonna be talking about communication. Yeah, in marriage, communication. So that takes us to that point that you just need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because because your husband does something, or you discover you found something out that may not even be the truth,
Yeah.
and you're denying the man because of that.
Yeah.
You have no right to do that because that body in the first instance does not belong to you.
Yeah. But you know what, mommy, just based on what Sonia Kenny has said, I think we as men also need to understand that when a woman is not being upfront about her sexuality, or the man wants it, she doesn't want it, and she's denying him, it shouldn't be a yardstick for a man to then begin to seek opportunity
Outside.
Because we've heard a lot of instances where people say, oh, it's because she's not, that's why. So that means in yourself, you are not confident, your esteem level is not solid enough for you to be able to have a stand as a man. So she has to do something that triggers my action outside then it questions whether
you probably wanted to do it before. Your stand with the Lord is not strong enough.
And what I'm saying, so it's not. I'm not saying because I'm righteous. I'm saying that's where we men need to get to, where we are not allowing things happening in the house to be the reason why we make a decision on going to look elsewhere. It's not a good place to be, because you two, you've offended her. Look at the episode where you wanted and I didn't want. What if Sonia had said, because he didn't give it to me,
and I'm going to talk to that guy at work?
And how would the man take it? And we I think sometimes women think, the African thing, if I do it, I should be forgiven. Which, of course, many men have the expectation. Even myself, because of the culture, we have that expectation that when we go outside, the woman should forgive us. But the question is, if she did the same, can I forgive? Can I forgive? Because men are actually extreme jealous beings. Like I'm talking about, because I'm a man, to even think of a man holding your wife in a very compromising position can even set you off already. How much more? But we need to understand that the Bible stand is not just for the women forgiving when you've done something. It has to be both ways.
Both ways.
Yeah, both ways. Just both to ways. Put that disclaimer there, basically.
So it's so important that we understand that, your body does not belong to you. It does not belong to you. It belongs to your husband or your wife.
Yeah.
So it's important that we talk about it if there's anything that is going on there, to make sure that you do not deprive one another of that which is, the right. Is the right. That's the way God planned it. That's why you're married. Yeah. For this reason, the two of you shall come together and become one. Being one is actually experienced when you're having sex. It's important. So
I have something to say.
Okay.
So in order for that flow of communication to happen all the time, I think it's really important, as I said, to cultivate that communication, that culture of communication whereby there's always an open dialogue.
Yeah.
So when you said earlier about watching her mood, you want to have sex, and like a day before you start sending texts and stuff like that, those texts should be every day.
It shouldn't be because you want something.
It shouldn't be because you want sex.
Absolutely.
It should be a marriage where you're having that banter continuously.
Absolutely.
So when you're having that banter, and then if there's something wrong and the banter didn't flow immediately, then immediately you can deal with it. You can immediately, nip it in the bud, and then you're back to normal.
Because you've created a culture of that communication.
Exactly. So I think there needs to be less formality in marriages. Married couples need to kind of break down those boundaries and really be able to communicate with themselves in such a way that they can have this fun banter going on, send each other, sex texts. What they call sexting.
Yeah. What I will agree with that as well is you need to get married to your friend. Make sure that person is your friend.
Yeah.
Somebody you're free with. Somebody you can just be yourself around. You don't have to be looking around. Is she happy today? Is she not happy tomorrow? And what does she look like? Have I offended her? No, because when you're friends, you literally can go, okay, what's the problem? What's wrong with you? I do that with my husband, by God's grace. I do that with my husband. We've been married, it's close to 30 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. I do that with him. I look at him, Baba, which one? I beg. You say stuff like that. Just be married to your friend. It's really, really important. So sex or anything, it flows when you enjoy it. It's meant to be enjoyed in marriage.
Not endured.
It should not endured. It should not make because there has been situations. Because what I was going to say earlier on is, should the woman deprive the man? If she does not deprive him, if they've not talked about it, she's going to endure it and she will enjoy it. I think you said something the other time, like having sex with a dead body, because she's just going to lay there. Okay, it's your right to my body. Go on, then have the right, but it's not coming from the mind. And the man himself won't even enjoy it. He's going to go like,
what's all this?
What is the...
Just like one log of wood.
Yeah, so let's look at that. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kemi, for, all the wonderful contribution. Dre, thank you so much. And this is where we're gonna stop today on this episode. Have you subscribed to DSS TV? If you haven't, please go right now and subscribe. And this conversation continues. We're gonna be talking more. What are those things you want to talk about sex, about marriage, any issue at all? No topic is untouchable. Go to the comment below and let's keep talking. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. God bless you.
Thank you.
My sister, yeah. Character is king, my brother, no. Patient understanding, plenty agreement. And so my people, the matter go free. Who be your friend? Who be your friend? Shayna God or man like you. If them fail, you know.
Effective communication takes on several forms. It's not really just about the words that have been spoken. A lot of communication is given in our actions. So we have to learn to read body language. Children are the best people at reading body language. Because from ages 1 to 0 to about 2, most children.
Just be true body. Kill out she sorrow yo. Kill out she sorrow yo. Ọ̀rọ̀ ìfẹ́ máa le. Kill out she sorrow yo. Kill out she sorrow yo. Kill out she sorrow.